Hello and welcome to Blood Bowl Chaos Edition. I'm the voice from Playerverse Products. Today we're going to go ahead and go through the tutorial and find out just what this game has to offer. Now, I was an owner of the original game for the PC of this. It's kind of a fun game based off of a board game, a combination of American football and Warhammer. When I first played it, it was okay. I would say that the only downfalls was graphically it really wasn't all that appeasing. It had a lot of issues with lag and a long time to load up and things of that nature. But here recently I've noticed that a lot of guys from the game station kind of made a tournament, and I've been playing it. Like Jesse Cox, Wild Crendor, Dodger, things like that. I've watched a few of the matches, and the game looked like it played a heck of a lot better. Also quite a few more races and things like that. So I decided I was going to go ahead and take a look at it. It was kind of nice, being that I owned the original game. It actually was super cheap for me to pick up too, so not too bad. Alright. IC Conference, Division versus the Ground Eye. Click.
Good evening, sports fans, and welcome to the Blood Bowl for tonight's contest. You join a capacity crowd packed with members of every race from across the known world, all howling like banshees in anticipation of tonight's game. Oh, and yes, there are some actual banshees. Well, kickoff is in about 20 minutes' time, so we've just got time to recap the rules of the game before the battle starts. Your match commentators for tonight are Jim and myself, Bob Bifford. Evening, Jim.
It's kind of cool. It's fully voiced. That's definitely a plus.
Thank you, Bob. Well, good evening, and boy, are you folks in for a great night of top-class sporting entertainment. But first of all, for those at home who are unfamiliar with the rules, here's how the game is transmitted to the folks at home and, of course, played.
Let me explain that, Jim. As any Blood Bowl fan knows, each Blood Bowl match is transmitted out to thousands of Blood Bowl fans with the device Campaign for Real Arcanery, the camera that was developed by the Guilds of Magic. A bound spirit in a box is allowed to look out in one direction only at the Blood Bowl field, and his mental image is then transmitted by teams of magicians using the spell Cablevision.
Wow, that's definitely one way of explaining cameras.
And nowadays, we've got a lot of cameras, Bob. Since transmitting Blood Bowl matches became a huge success, a lot more broadcasting guilds emerged on the market, such as NBC,
Necromancer's Broadcasting Circle,
Channel 7, the CBS,
Crystal Ball Service.
That is funny.
to name a few. But since ABC...
Association of Broadcasting Conjurers.
Yes, thank you, Bob. Since the ABC won the franchise in 2486, when it was renewed for the 30th time, they have exclusive broadcasting rights nowadays.
Alright, switch between the different camera views. We're pressing C.
Ah, that's too true, Jim. But let's explain for the folks at home what Blood Bowl the game really is. Blood Bowl is an epic conflict between two teams of heavily armored and quite insane warriors. Players pass, throw, or run with the ball, attempting to get it to the other end of the pitch, the end zone. Of course, the other team must try to stop them and recover the ball for their side. If a team gets the ball over the line into the opponent's end zone, it's called a touchdown. The team that scores the most touchdowns by the end of the match wins the game and are declared Blood Bowl champions. How do they do it?
It's like this, Bob. Two teams set up 11 players on the pitch. 11 is the sacred number of Nuffle, as any hardcore Blood Bowl fan would know. Today we're going to watch the Gouged Eye against the Reichland Reavers. This is yet another grudge match between the two teams.
And it seems the teams are entering the pitch now. Shall we get started, Jim? The coin is flipped high in the air, and the brave Goblin referee announced that the Reichland Reavers will be receiving this half.
Right, let's get started. As any coach will tell you, Bob, a team's starting formation is vitally important. Here we can see an example of the gouged eye, famous 5-4-2, or deep defense formation. This formation is used by the eye against fast-moving or agile teams like Skaven or Elves. Some would argue with limited success.
Okay, it seems they're talking about, we have the 5 here, obviously the 4 and the next, and the 2 back here. So basically kind of just like having a, well, it's kind of like having a 3-2, I guess you would consider it for real football. It's a little strange. We'll see how that kind of goes.
You said it, Jim. Notice how the gouged eye has made sure that there are no gaps in their line for opposing players to run through. Every square is covered by an orc player or one of his tackle zones.
Okay. Display tackle zone with the pitch grid. Toggle it off with the G key. Oh, okay.
That's absolutely
that looks a
right,
little more
Bob.
familiar.
Each square around a player is a tackle zone. And it looks like, as an added insurance, the Orcs have kept 2 players back deep, close to their own end zone, so they can catch any enemy players lucky enough to dodge their way through the Orc front line.
Okay, so it looks like pretty much there's a square around each player, from 1 square all the way around. So that's actually kind of cool. Seems like it would be a better strategy to keep them separated like this versus all together. You would actually cover more.
Jim, let's not forget that a team can only field 2 players in each wide zone. And they always have to field a minimum of 3 players on the halfway line, which coaches refer to as the line of scrimmage.
Okay.
Okay, Bob, it seems like Reichland Reavers have set up their offensive lineup and that the gouged eye are ready to kick the ball.
It sure does, Jim. When both teams have finished their setup, the coach of the kicking team places the ball in any square in the opponent's half of the pitch.
That's right, Bob. He can even place it in their end zone if he likes. After placing the ball, it will scatter in random direction, though, only up to a maximum of 7 squares in any of the 8 possible directions.
Those kicks are sure inaccurate, Jim. That's why coaches sometimes prefer to field a player with the kick skill, since it will cut the number of possible squares the ball will scatter by half. But more on those skills later.
That's right, Bob. The kick skill sure is useful, because if the ball bounces off the pitch or into the kicking team's half, the receiving team is awarded a touchback and can give the ball to any player in their team. There goes the little referee with his bone whistle. It's time to rumble!
Alright, kick the ball by placing it on the pitch. Right-click on the highlighted square to kick the ball.
And look at that kick, Jim. What a perfect kick by Truck Elf Splitter. But what's up with the fans, Jim?
Alright, kickoff table. 6 cheering fans. Each coach rolls a die and adds their fame and the number of cheerleaders on their team to the score. The team with the highest score is inspired by their fans cheering and gets an extra re-roll this half. If both teams have the same score, then both teams get a re-roll. Okay.
As you know, Bob, all kinds of things can happen during a Blood Bowl match. A team may make an inspired play, or raucous fans might throw a rock at one of the opposing team's players, or even invade the pitch. Coaches refer to them as kick-off events. There are lots of different outcomes. In this case, the cheering fans seem to have gone wild with anticipation.
Right, Jim. Keep an eye on those fans. It seems Reichland Reavers got inspired by their fans cheering and got an extra re-roll in this half. No doubt their cheerleaders got the crowd going. Equally important is their assistant coaches and fame, fan factor, during the kickoff events.
So either when I played the other version of this game, I really didn't know what was going on, or
And
they've
that
added
extra
a
team
lot of new
re-roll
stuff.
sure is handy for the Reavers, Bob. It allows them to re-roll 1 dice roll per turn during a half. Re-rolls are very important in Blood Bowl, as coaches quickly discover. There are 2 types of re-rolls, team re-rolls and player re-rolls. In either case, a re-roll allows you to re-roll all the dice that produced any one result.
It sure is useful, Jim. So let's continue with the match, shall we? It seems like the Reichland Reavers thrower, Fat Midbrot, is getting ready to pick up the ball, and the ball is just within his reach since he got movement allowance 6.
Alrighty. Pick up the ball. Right click on the square to pick it up.
Oh, take a look at that, Bob. He almost failed to pick up the ball. Luckily enough for the Reavers, Fat Midbrot has the sure hand skill, which allowed him to re-roll the pickup roll, and he made it on the second attempt.
True, Jim. Sure hands does come in handy at times. Maybe we should mention that the agility table is used for more than just pickups, Jim. It is also used to work out the success or failure of a number of different actions in Blood Bowl, including dodging, picking up the ball, and throwing or catching the ball, to name but a few. Each action has its own set of modifiers, too, depending on how difficult the action is. It's these modifiers to the dice roll that affect whether or not the action is a success.
Okay.
That's right, Bob. This all might sound complicated, but it's really easy to understand it all after a few games. For those that wish to broaden their wisdom about Blood Bowl, I recommend taking a look at the official Blood Bowl rulebook.
Alright, let's see here. Move up the field, right click on indicated square, then right click on move square. Right click on the indicated square. I don't see an indicated square. There we go.
You said it, Jim. But look at that. He's not done. He's about to throw a short pass to Griff Oberwald.
That's a risky play so early in the turn, Bob. Usually, coaches try to perform the easier actions first during their turn, because if anyone fails an action, it's the end of their turn. In this case, it's fairly safe, since Fat Midbrot also has the pass skill, which allows him to re-roll a failed result.
Okie dokie.
Still a risky play, Jim, since the thrower has agility of 3, which means that he must roll a 4 or more to be on target. No modifiers apply to the D6 roll because he is not in any tackle zones, and the modifier for short pass is +0.
Alright. Throw the ball. Right click on who you want to throw to, right click again on him to throw the ball. You can also double right click on the thrower right away. Alright. Looks like he caught it, at least. Of course, there again,
And
if
he
you
rolls
can't
a
catch
4
that,
and makes
it's
it.
ridiculous.
And Griff Oberwald reaches for the ball and rolls a 2. He catches the ball. What an amazing play so early in the game, Bob. For those that wish to view the agility table for passing the ball and catching the ball, we refer yet again to the Blood Bowl.
Sure is amazing, Jim. Regarding actions, such as passing, handoffs, and blitz moves, these actions can only be performed by one player per turn. However, it can be any player that attempts these actions. So don't worry about the names of the player positions. They just help illustrate that blitzers are just better at blitzing, throwers are just better at passing the ball, and catchers are just better at catching the ball. Now back to the action on the pitch. The Reavers are trying to punch a hole in the Gouged Eye's defense. Look at that, Jim. Zug their ogre prepares to smash the Gouged Eye's black orc on the scrimmage line. Rip Sorpain.
They better stay clear of that big guy, Bob. He has a strength value of 5, and in this case, he is blocking the black orc, Rip Sorpain, who only has a strength of 4. Since the ogre has more strength than his opponent, it means he can roll 2 block dice and choose which one to use. For you folks at home, you can check the player's strengths roll table for further information concerning what effects a player's strength have when blocking.
Well, this just seems very, very complicated, but fun nonetheless. Alright, so we want to block the Black Orc in front of Zug. Double right click on Rip Swordpan, then choose the defense down dice in the block action window. Punch back the Black Orc indicated. Let's see. Choose block dice to use or reroll.
And look at that, Jim. He rolls defender down, and the defender stumbles. He uses the defender down result to push Rip Sorpain back a square.
Dude just
and knock him
bitch slapped
flat
him
on his
down.
back in the mud. And whenever a player hits the ground, you make an armor roll to see if his armor protects him from injury.
Lucky for that Black Orc, he's got some heavy armor on him, Bob. Oh, wait. It looks like Zug managed to break the Black Orc's armor and has caused a knockout result on the injury roll. That's because Zug has the extremely powerful Mighty Blows skill, which adds +1 to your armor roll. The Reavers fans go wild. After all, it's called Blood Bowl.
Okay, very cool. Very cool.
And brutality on the pitch, we like that, Jim. Seems like the Reavers smashed up an opening, too. Look at Jean-Paul Musen. The Reavers catcher is running right through their defense. I smell a touchdown soon, Jim.
Not so fast, Bob. He still needs to make a dodge roll to bypass the gouged eye's solid defense.
Alright, let's see here. Dodge through with Jean-Paul Musen. Right click on the annotated square. Right click again to do it. Okay. So he's going to go through. Ooh.
That's right, Jim. And while he
Like a little
squeezes through the
gazelle.
defense, he rolls a 3 and successfully dodges through, since he needs to roll a 3 or more. With an agility value of 3, he
Okay.
requires a roll of 4 or more to be successful. But since Jean-Paul Musen dodges through a square that has no tackle zones, he receives a +1 bonus dodge modifier when attempting the dodge roll. Remember, it's always the square that you are dodging to that determines the modifiers. That's some nice dodging, Jim.
Okay, so I think I'm starting to get things. Basically, you need to get one better than
Too
whatever
right.
roll
But
it's
look,
for.
it looks like Griff Oberwald will dodge through and make a go for it to hand off the ball to Jean-Paul Musen. And just like every action in Blood Bowl, a go for it can be treacherous, Bob.
That's all true, Jim. While all players can go for it 2 additional squares of movement, they need to roll a d6 to see if they can make it. On a 1, they will fall flat on the ground in the square where they failed, and therefore
hilarious.
must make an armor roll, and it will cause a team turnover.
Okay, so we want to, looks like do a bunch of things here. First thing, we want to move Griff down the field next to John Paul and hand the ball over to him. So, we take Griff, we want to put him right there. And, oh wow, not bad. And then we're going to hand it to him.
Some high-quality play there, Bob. Griff Oberwald dodges through and goes for it to the catcher, and Jean-Paul Moussen successfully catches the handoff. Now, a handoff is always considered as an accurate pass, so the receiving player simply needs to pass an agility roll. Our catcher, with an agility of 3, therefore catches the ball on a roll of 3 or more.
Okay, alright, see, there we go. I'm starting, like I said, it's starting to make a little bit of sense. Basically, you have to either get the same or beat it, just depending on what you're trying to do.
That's all nice, Jim. But I want to see more action on the pitch. And here we go. It looks like the human blitzer, Matthias Meyer, is getting ready to blitz that orc, while Griff Oberwald is assisting him.
That's right, Bob.
Okay.
Once per turn, a player on the moving team is allowed to make a special blitz move. A blitz allows the player to move and make a block. The block may be made at any point during the move, but costs 1 square of movement for the player to make.
Alright, so we're going to take this guy, it looks like, and we're going to get this guy here. Both down, both down.
That's one tough blitzer, Jim. Since Griff Oberwald assisted him, he had +1 strength, giving him a strength value of 4. So he gets to roll 2 block dice and choose the result. Fortunately, he has rolled both down twice. But fortunately, Matthias Meyer has the block skill, which allows him to ignore the both down result. But since poor old Truck Elf Splitter does not have the block skill, he goes down. What a blitz he made, Jim.
Okay, I think I got it. So technically they both should have went down, but because he has a block skill over here, a player with a block skill is proficient at knocking opponents down. The block skill, if used, does not knock down the player if the dice results both down. Sweet. Okay, that's kind of sweet.
Indeed, Bob. The player may carry on moving after the effects of the block have been worked out, if he has any squares of movement left. It seems like he is moving up next to the catcher to protect him.
Alrighty. Makes sense.
But look, Jim, what is Peter von Gullet trying to do? It looks like he'll fall over and cause a turnover. Normally, a turn only ends when all the players in the team have performed an action. However, certain events cause the turn to end before all the players have taken an action.
Alright, so he's going to attempt it.
Turnover! Not even the team reroll helped them there, Bob. This doesn't look good for the Reavers, since Jean-Paul Moussen is wide open for a blitz. The Orcs don't waste any time, and there goes Krug Painspear, the gouged eye star, Orc Blitzer. He just blitzed up the pitch, and now he's going to throw a block at Jean-Paul Moussen, the Reavers' catcher. Krug Painspear got a strength of 3 compared to Jean-Paul's 2, which means Krug Painspear can roll 2 block dice and choose which one he will use.
Did you see that, Jim? Since Krug Painspear has the tackle skill, Jean-Paul Moussen is knocked down with a defender stumbles, even though he has the dodge skill, which would normally allow him to regard that as a simple pushback. What a blitz! That looks like a
I will say
spleen
one
gone
thing
awry.
about this
Brutal
tutorial.
and bloody, just the way
Because they're
we
waiting
like
for
it.
you to hit
And
the
the
button.
gouged eye fans go wild. It looks like
Nothing's
the Reavers will
happened
have
yet.
to use their apothecary to stitch up
But
that wound.
they're sure
and there
making
they
it
come
seem
running
like
onto
this.
the pitch, carrying out the lifeless body.
So now we get to see what they just described. Dang, he got his ass good. What? Wow. They killed him.
That's assuming the apothecary can mend him, Bob. The apothecary allows a reroll of any injury, and you could choose the new result. And now the Reavers don't have an apothecary for the rest of the game, so you can only use them once. It was worth it, though. He was for sure brought back from the dead. However, he is out for the rest of this drive. This will be hard for the Reavers to grab that ball back, especially since Cannonball Benny is within reach of the ball. Bob, I'm not so sure about that. He might be a good thrower when it comes to throwing it downfield, but it looks like Cannonball Benny is about to attempt a risky pass to Varag Gaulchua, and Griff Oberwald is in a great position to make an interception attempt. Can't he see him?
Okay, so it looks like he's going to throw it over here to the left. Select a player who will attempt the interception. We want to try Griff here.
That's right, Jim. The crowd holds its breath as Griff leaps to intercept the pass. He needs an agility roll of 3 or more. However, a player making an interception attempt suffers a -2 modifier, which means that Griff will need a score of 5 or 6 to catch the ball. The dice is rolled and comes up with a 6. Griff catches the ball. It's an interception! And just listen to those Reavers fans, Jim. They're going wild! That's a turnover for the gouged eye.
Alright.
And there goes Griff Oberwald, sprinting down the field to score Reichland Reavers' first touchdown.
He's really not
and
moving
listen
at
to
all.
those fans, Bob, howling like banshees and rabid wolves.
Once again, it kind of takes away from the fact when it tells you what's going to happen before it even happens. But okay, I see this now. I'm starting to get it once again. By clicking here, he'll go that way. Where if I click, yeah, I got it. So he doesn't have to worry about the blocks. It's on a block square. Okay.
What a touchdown, Jim! Did you see that? Amazing! But the game is far from over. This is just warming up. 6 turns remain of the first half, and then
They
we
really
got
were
a full
cheerleaders.
second half with
Okay.
8 more turns before this game is over.
Well, there's the sideline. Look, there's that one guy I knocked out. That's cool. It's not bad.
Oh, boy, Bob, this'll be interesting. May Nuffle always bless his dice.
Right. Well, there we have it. So I think that was the entire tutorial. And yeah. Alright, so I think we learned a couple things, and we will employ them in our first game. So, if you enjoyed this, please go ahead and like us, subscribe, follow us on Twitter at Player vs. Product, and check us out on Facebook at the Player vs. Product Reviews, and we'll see you again real soon.